left to die in the cold. Only one human cared enough to save her. The wind howled across the frozen landscape of Cryo's IV, each gust carrying ice crystals that stung like needles against exposed skin. Senna Novak huddled deeper into the emergency shelter she'd constructed from the wreckage of her research vessel, watching as the twin suns dipped below the jagged horizon. 3 days had passed since the catastrophic engine failure that had sent her plummeting to this desolate ice planet, and her emergency beacon had shown no signs of being received. As a botanical xenoscientist, Senna had been studying the rare frost orchids that somehow thrived in the planet's extreme conditions. The United Planetary Research Coalition had assured her the short solo mission would be routine, collect samples, document findings, return to the orbital station. No one had accounted for the sudden solar flare that had fried her ship's navigation systems and forced her crash landing. She checked her supplies again: 2 days of emergency rations, a rapidly depleting oxygen converter, and a heating unit that flickered ominously. The bitter truth settled in her chest alongside the cold: no one was coming. The UPRC had limited resources in this sector, and Cryo's IV was too far from established routes for passing ships to detect her weak distress signal. "Just hold out another night," Senna whispered to herself, her breath forming clouds in the frigid air. "Something will change tomorrow." But as darkness enveloped the shelter and temperatures plummeted to lethal levels, even Senna's characteristic optimism began to waver. She found herself thinking of Earth, of the small apartment in New Singapore she'd left behind, of the hydroponics garden on her balcony that would now wither without her care. Sleep came in fitful bursts, dreams haunted by the sound of ice crystals pelting the shelter's thin walls. When a new sound penetrated her consciousness, a low, rhythmic humming, Senna initially dismissed it as another hallucination brought on by oxygen deprivation. But the sound grew louder, more insistent, until it shook the very ground beneath her. Senna forced her stiff limbs to move, crawling to the shelter's small viewport just as a blinding light cut through the perpetual twilight outside. A ship unlike any human vessel she'd ever seen hovered above the ice field, emanating a soft blue glow. Its sleek hull curved in organic patterns, reminding Senna of the nautilus shells she'd collected as a child on Earth's remaining beaches. Her heart raced with equal parts hope and trepidation. First contact with non-coalition species was strictly regulated, but Senna's situation had long passed the point where protocols mattered. This was survival. With trembling hands, she activated her last emergency flare, watching as the red light arced through the darkness toward the alien ship. The response was immediate. The vessel descended smoothly, landing with barely a sound about 50 meters from her shelter. Senna grabbed her emergency translator, environmental scanner, and the small plasma cutter that was her only weapon before stepping out into the biting cold. A seam appeared in the ship's hull, widening into an entrance from which a warm amber light spilled onto the ice. Senna squinted against the brightness, raising a hand to shield her eyes as a figure emerged. It moved with a fluid grace that immediately marked it as non-human. Tall and lean, with limbs slightly too long for human proportions, the being approached cautiously across the ice. Senna's scanner indicated a breathable atmosphere surrounding the creature, some kind of portable environment bubble. As it drew closer, Senna could make out more details. Its skin was a deep indigo that seemed to shimmer with subtle iridescence. Large, almond-shaped eyes dominated a narrow face, their color a startling gold that reflected the light of the emergency flare. There were no visible ears, only slight ridges where they would be on a human, and fine, silver-white hair floated around its head as if suspended in water. The alien stopped a few paces away, studying Senna with undisguised curiosity. Then, it raised a 6-fingered hand in what appeared to be a universal gesture of greeting. "Hello," it said, the translator at Senna's hip interpreting the series of melodic sounds. "I am Tarak, explorer of the Nelvari Collective. You are injured and far from your kind." The voice through the translator was neither male nor female, but something in between, resonant with harmonics that the device struggled to capture. "I'm Senna Novak, botanical researcher from Earth," she replied, feeling oddly self-conscious of her disheveled appearance and the crude shelter behind her. My ship crashed. I've been stranded for 3 days. Tarak tilted his head. Senna found herself thinking of the alien as male, though she had no idea if such designations applied to his species. This environment is hostile to your physiology, he observed, gesturing at her shelter. Your technology is failing. You will not survive another night cycle. The blunt assessment should have frightened her, but there was something in Tarak's golden gaze that spoke of concern rather than threat. I know, Senna admitted. My rescue beacon isn't strong enough to reach my people. Tarak was silent for a moment, his expression unreadable to human eyes. Then he extended his hand again, this time palm up in offering. The Nelvari do not leave sentient beings to perish alone in the cold, he said simply. Come with me, Senna Novik of Earth. My vessel has healing facilities and can maintain your environmental needs. Senna hesitated, years of cautionary training warring with desperation. Yet something in her recognized a kindred spirit in this strange, being another solitary explorer traversing the stars out of curiosity and wonder. Why help me? She asked. Tarak's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. Because the universe is vast and lonely, and encounters between thinking minds are rare and precious. Would you not do the same for me? With that simple truth hanging between them, Senna took her first step forward, leaving footprints in the ice that the relentless wind would soon erase, moving toward warmth, toward life, toward an unexpected journey that would change everything she thought she knew about the cosmos and her place within it. The interior of Tarak's ship was unlike anything Senna had ever experienced. Soft, ambient light emanated from the walls themselves, which seemed to pulse with gentle bioluminescence. The corridors curved organically, free of the sharp angles and utilitarian design of human vessels. Most surprisingly, the air carried the sweet scent of vegetation, not the sterile, recycled atmosphere she'd expected. Tarak guided her to what appeared to be a medical chamber, gesturing toward a concave platform. This will assess your physical condition, he explained. It's calibrated for multiple species, though humans are uncommon in this sector. Senna hesitated only briefly before lying down. A gentle hum filled the air as a field of golden light enveloped her body. You suffer from early hypothermia, minor radiation exposure, and nutritional deficiency, Tarak observed, studying holographic symbols that Senna couldn't decipher. Nothing irreversible. He pressed a sequence of panels on the wall, and a warm mist descended over Senna. Almost immediately, the painful tingling in her extremities began to subside. Thank you, she whispered, suddenly overwhelmed by how close she'd come to death. I don't understand, why were you even on Cryos, IV? It's not exactly a tourist destination. Tarak's expression shifted subtly, the fine filaments of his hair rippling with what Senna interpreted as amusement. I am a botanical cataloger, he replied. Like you. Senna sat up in surprise. You're studying the frost orchids too. The Chilantha crystales, yes. Tarak's translator struggled with the scientific name. The Nelvari believe these plants contain compounds that could regenerate damaged ecosystems on worlds affected by stellar radiation. I've spent 3 cycles tracking their growth patterns. That's exactly what my research focuses on, Senna exclaimed, professional excitement momentarily overriding her exhaustion. The UPRC believes they could help reclaim Earth's polar regions. For the first time, Tarak's face displayed an expression Senna could clearly read, wonder. The universe has curious symmetries, he said softly. Over the next several days, as Tarak's vessel orbited Cryos IV, their shared scientific passion became the foundation of an unexpected partnership. Senna learned that the Nelvari Collective was a loose federation of explorers and researchers dedicated to preserving biodiversity across the galaxy. Unlike humanity's hierarchical organizations, Nelvari operated independently, sharing discoveries through a vast quantum network. Tarak showed her his extensive botanical database, specimens collected from 100 worlds. In return, Senna shared Earth's botanical history, the desperate fight to preserve species during the climate crisis, and humanity's gradual rehabilitation of their homeworld. Your people nearly destroyed your planet, yet fought to save it, Tarak observed one evening as they shared a meal in the ship's central chamber. Nelvari find humans contradictory. That's a diplomatic way of putting it, Senna laughed. We're definitely a work in progress. The Nelvari's diet consisted primarily of synthesized nutrition gels, but Tarak had adapted several to approximate human flavors. Tonight's offering tasted vaguely of cinnamon and apples, bringing an unexpected pang of homesickness. Do you miss your collective? Tarak asked, somehow sensing her shift in mood. My family, sometimes, but I've always been most comfortable alone with my plants. Senna traced patterns in the luminescent tabletop. What about you? Don't you get lonely out here? Tarak was silent for a long moment, his golden eyes reflecting the ambient light. Nelvari experience solitude differently than humans. We maintain telepathic connections with our birth cluster across vast distances. But, he hesitated, physical presence has its own value. Your company these past days has been illuminating. Something in his tone made Senna look up sharply. Was it possible that Nelvari experienced attraction? The thought sent an unexpected flutter through her chest. I've enjoyed your company too, she admitted softly. That night, unable to sleep in the comfortable chamber Tarak had configured for her, Senna wandered to the ship's observation dome. The transparent ceiling revealed Cryo's, IV's stunning panorama, crystalline landscapes refracting the light of twin moons, auroras dancing across the polar sky. It's beautiful, isn't it? Tarak's voice came from behind her, despite its hostility to life. Beauty and danger often coexist, Senna replied, turning to face him. In the moonlight, Tarak's indigo skin seemed to shimmer with subtle patterns, bioluminescent markings she hadn't noticed before. He moved to stand beside her, closer than usual, their reflections ghostly in the transparent dome. I've received a transmission from your coalition, he said suddenly. A research vessel detected our presence in orbit. They will arrive within 2 planetary rotations. Oh, the news should have brought relief, but instead, Senna felt a hollow sensation in her chest. That's good. Is it? Tarak asked, his golden eyes searching her face. Your vital signs indicate distress. Senna smiled despite herself. It's complicated. I'm grateful for rescue, but this time with you has been special. I've learned so much. About your people, about different ways of seeing the universe. About connection between different forms of life, Tarak added, his voice dropping to a resonant hum that made Senna's skin tingle even without the translator. With deliberate slowness, he extended his hand, palm up, in the same gesture he'd made on the ice days earlier. This time, Senna understood it wasn't merely an offer of help. It was an invitation to something more. She placed her hand in his, marveling at the difference in their biology. His 6 long fingers gently curling around her 5 shorter ones, his skin cooler but somehow radiating comfort. The Nelvari have a concept, Tarak said softly, called currental souls that mirror each other across the divide of species. Exceedingly rare but cherished when found. On Earth we might call that soulmates, Senna whispered, her heart racing. What happened next transcended the need for translation. Tarak raised his free hand to Senna's face, the delicate touch leaving a trail of tingling warmth along her cheek. In response, she leaned forward, guided by an instinct older than space travel, older than civilization itself. Their first kiss was a meeting of worlds, alien yet intimately familiar, strange yet undeniably right. The bioluminescence in Tarak's skin brightened, casting them both in a gentle blue glow beneath the wheeling stars. When the Coalition vessel arrived 2 days later, they found not a stranded researcher in need of rescue, but a woman transformed by discovery, both scientific and personal. The officers were perplexed by Senna's request for a formal cultural exchange program with the previously unknown Nelvari, even more so by her insistence that the botanical explorer remain by her side during negotiations. But as Senna and Tarak stood together before the bewildered human delegation, their hands subtly intertwined, they knew they represented something profound. proof that even in the coldest reaches of space, warmth could be found in the most unexpected connections. "Ready?" Tarek asked as they prepared to board the coalition ship for the journey to the nearest diplomatic outpost. Senna smiled, thinking of the frost orchids they'd collected together, of the research they would share, of the boundaries they would cross. "Ready," she replied, "for everything."